Hey y'all, what's going on? Welcome back to the corner. I am your host, Kamal Huggins. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. If this is your first time, please go ahead and check out our last video. It was a video that explained the genesis or what gave birth to this podcast. And also take the moment to subscribe to the channel, like this video, share the video, so that way you can include your loved ones and your friends in the conversations that we are gonna have here on this corner. Also, the corner is a place where we keep it authentic, applicable, and appropriate. And in this video, I want to continue off of the video from last week, explaining what gave birth to this podcast. And I want to continue to be open and transparent and just share my story, and hopefully sharing lessons that I've learned that may help you guys in your life and navigating through issues or problems that may arise in your life that may be similar or that can relate to what it is that you're going through, or someone in your life who is close to you is probably going to go through or may go through. So that being said, let's get right into it. In the last video, I shared that I was in a 5-year relationship that ended, and that relationship ended simply because the girl's parents didn't want her to be with someone who looked like me, right? Honestly, it was one of the toughest times of my life. It hurt because it made me question my value. It made me wonder, like, okay, these people don't want me in their family, not because I'm not educated, not because I'm not well-mannered, not because I'm not financially stable. It was simply because of something that I could not control, which had to do with the color of my skin. So going through that whole process, it really made me question my self-worth and who I was as a person. It made me question, like, am I good enough? Like, why can't I be accepted? It triggered a lot of childhood traumas that I already had, such as trust issues. I already struggled with trust issues. It made me question my worth. It made me question whether or not I was good enough. And these were things that I was already traumatized by, or things that I was already fighting against because I heard them so much growing up. And to have that pop up in the relationship that I was in, it really hurt. But it was one of those, it was something that was necessary. It was something that was bound to happen. And here's the thing about it, right? And I find it so funny because I remember I was telling someone, I was like, every time God is about to disrupt your life, to push you into your purpose and push you into your destiny and take you to where it is that he wants to take you, he will always give you a warning. He will never just disrupt your life like that, right? And God will always drop little hints, or he will give you little foreshadows, or he will send someone who will drop something and say, hey, like, this is what's about to happen, or this is what's going to take place. And it comes down to a matter of, are you listening or not? And regardless of if you take it serious or not, or if you hear exactly what the message is that God is trying to get to you, it's going to happen regardless. So a year before that breakup took place, a prophet came to my young adult meeting, and I remember I was sitting there, and this prophet, she started prophesying to me, and she's just like, God wants to use you. God's gonna use you to touch the lives of thousands, if not millions. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, I've heard this so many times. Like, this is nothing new. And as she continued, there was a but. I've never heard a but before. Every time people have always spoke about me and where they think I'm gonna go, and how gifted I am and how anointed I am. No one has ever said but. But this lady, she literally paused and she's like, but first, God's gonna break your heart. Instantly, I knew exactly what it is that she was talking about. Like, she didn't even have to go in detail, which she didn't, but she's like, God's gonna break your heart. She's like, God wants to use you, but he's gonna break your heart. And a lot of people may not want to hear that, but it's crazy because before she said that, I literally prayed and asked God. I was like, God, if this girl that I'm with is not the one, please remove her. And I was like, God, give me a sign. You know how we always pray for signs, that God, give me a sign if this is not it, or God, give me a sign if this is where you want me to go, or if this is the right path. And she literally showed up and she's like, yeah, God's gonna break your heart. And it took a year for what she said or prophesied over my life to come to fruition, but it happened. And I knew instantly that it was gonna happen. And I remember like constantly throughout that relationship, I would always pray like, God, like if she's not the one, remove her. And I remember the last prayer that I prayed, and that prayer was literally, God, I know that you've called me to greater. I know that you have a great plan for my life. I know that I'm gonna be exposed to a lot, but I need a woman by my side who has the capacity to withstand where it is that you're calling me, who has the capacity to deal with all the things that I'm gonna be dealing with, and to be able to hold me up and support me and be right by my side throughout everything that it is that you called me to do. And I remember that relationship ended, and honestly it hurt, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like that was 5 years that I invested in that, right? And not only that, it was like all the other things that it triggered that made it hurt, right? Like I said earlier, right? It literally made me question my worth. It made me question, okay, like, am I good enough? Like, okay, what is it about me that they don't want to accept? But at the end of the day, it needed to happen, and I was happy that it happened, right? Because it led to me finding the woman that I'm with now. She's everything that I wanted, but more. She ended up being everything that I wanted, but also everything that I needed, right? And here's how I found love again. So when that breakup happened back in 2019, it took me about maybe six to 7 months to get back on my feet, right? And it wasn't until about a year later that I got back into a serious relationship. But once that breakup happened, I took time, man. I took time to heal, right? I took time to learn to love me again. I took time to learn how to appreciate me, right? I learned how to find my support system, right? I learned how to date myself. So I used to take myself out, right? I learned how to enjoy me and enjoy my time. I learned how to set new goals. I learned how to experience new things. I learned how to go out and meet new people, right? Get out of my comfort zone. And honestly, I'm telling you, it took a while, because for about 4 to 5 months, I was in a paralyzed state where food didn't taste the same. I didn't want to go out no more. My boys will call. I'll be like, yeah, I ain't feeling it. I ain't trying to do nothing. Like, I was literally paralyzed for about 4 to 5 months. But then I started getting back on my feet, right? I started building myself back up because of my support system, right? So it's like, when you're going through a moment like that, I encourage you to have a support system. If you need to seek therapy, go seek therapy. But long story short, right, as I began getting back on my feet, what I did was I got a journal, and I literally wrote down everything that I wanted in a woman. And I said, Lord, I want a woman who will challenge me. I want a woman who's obviously beautiful. I want a woman who will put you first. I want a woman who will support me. I want a woman who will be my purpose partner. I want a woman who has the capacity to withstand everything that it is that you not only have for my life, but for her life as well. I want a woman who I could break generational curses with, right? And I literally began writing everything down, right? I'm like, I want a woman who I could pray with, a woman who I can have deep conversations with, a woman who I can travel with, and all the things that I wanted in life that I wanted out of my spouse. I started writing that down. And then one day, I was scrolling on Instagram, and this girl who I had a crush on in high school literally popped up on my Instagram. She posted a video, and this is during COVID, and I hit her up, and I'm like, hey, like, not trying to be rude or nothing or pride, but I just want to know, like, are you single, right? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, like, let me ask you out. And honestly, like, we went out, and our first date, I thought it was horrible. According to her, it was a great date. I was learning how to date again. I was learning how to ask the questions that needed to be asked, but also not make it seem like an interview. And honestly, it was scary. It was scary. And on that day, I remember like the conversation that were having was so deep and heavy because I had already knew her because we went to school together. It felt like I was rekindling with an old friend, and I was like, man, like I'm about to be put in the friend zone right now because like we ain't really laughing. This is heavy, but I think it's what the both of us needed, right? Because she was coming out of a relationship as well, and she went through what she went through. That's her story to share. I'm not gonna share that, but it was one of those where I think we found each other at the right time. And I kid you not, right? One of the things that I prayed for was I said, Lord, I want to be with a girl whose family will accept me for who I am. Kid y'all not. Our first date was August 14th. August 14th. Gotta get the date right. It was August 14th in 2020, right? And we made it official in October 17th of 2020. So literally about 3 months later, made it official. She became my girlfriend. And I kid you not, by December, this is like just before Christmas, my girlfriend comes to me. She's like, I don't know not trying to scare you or nothing. I don't know if this is too soon or too quick, but my dad wants to meet you. And I was just like, whoa. And then she's like, I don't know if you're nervous or you're scared, like you don't have to do it. And I'm like, no, like I'm ready. Like this is literally what I prayed for. But my reaction to it was, whoa, because I was like, God, like you working fast. Like this is literally what I prayed for. And honestly, best decision in my life. And I'm telling y'all, like when God is ready for you to experience what it is that he wants you to experience, it will happen. It will happen suddenly. And here's the thing, like the unknown is scary because honestly, while I was going through my healing process, I kept saying, man, like, I don't know if my future is gonna be better than my past. But I can honestly tell you that your future will be better than your past. What's ahead of you is better than what's behind you. And I can 100% attest to that. Like nothing to my ex or whatever, but it's like her and I should have stayed friends, right? That was something that I should have never taken outside of a friend relationship, but we did. Whatever, we tried it, it didn't work. It is what it is. But there was some valuable lessons that I learned within that relationship that is now helping me in the relationship that I'm in now, right? For instance, like that one helped me build a lot of patience, which I need for the girl that I'm with now. But it also taught me how to communicate, which is such a big thing in my relationship now. And that's what I love about my relationship now, is that the girl that I'm with now is like our communication in the way how we speak to each other and we communicate to understand each other, to listen rather than to respond. It's such a phenomenal thing, right? But I wouldn't be able to enjoy the relationship that I'm in now and see the success in that relationship and the experience of things that we experience without the past, without the lessons from the past, right? So I just want to encourage you, like, if you are like me and you are coming through a breakup or a divorce or a tough situation, something where it's like you are heartbroken, I want to encourage you and let you know, like, hey, like your future or what's in store is better. Like better is coming, and you will be able to love again. You will be able to find the right person. You just have to put in the work, right? And I just want to give you some essential tips, or just some things that helped me, right? The first thing that helped me was, one, acknowledging the pain. It is okay to feel what you feel. When my breakup first started, I tried to numb the pain, but at some point I had to let it go. So I encourage you to feel what you're feeling, allow your emotions to come out, especially men. us as men, we try to be, it's not that we try to be, it's just the way we're raised. As men, as little boys, we're raised and they say, suck it up. We fall down and like, brush it off, suck it up, be a man. But then it's like we become older and we get in these situations where it's like, okay, like I feel the pain that I feel, but I'm also now battling with what it means to be a man. And now it's like I'm struggling to feel what I feel or express the way I feel. But I encourage you to like acknowledge the pain, identify it, and feel it. And then once you do that, the second thing is, man, get in a support system. Get some people around you where you could be vulnerable. Like find some people who you could be vulnerable around. And if you don't have anyone like that in your circle right now, you need to reevaluate your circle. You need to reevaluate who's around you, because you should be able to have that a friend or two who you can literally open up to and say, yo, this is how I'm feeling right now and I need your support. And I'm not talking about getting people around you who just tell you what you want to hear, but like people who will get real with you so that you can make the necessary adjustments and improvements that you need to make. And then after you do that, like the next thing you gotta do is, man, like rediscover who you are. And what I mean by that is find out who you are, date you, right? Do the things that you love, do the things that you wanna do, right? Try something new, go do new experiences, right? Something that worked for me, like I mentioned, is I started dating myself. I would take myself to the movies. I would take myself out on dates, try new restaurants, try new classes, right? Go for walks in nature. So like go rediscover who you are, right? And the thing is that once you rediscover who you are, you will then find someone who will then come and join you along your journey and your walk and your party, right? Because that's just who you are, and you will continue to forever date you, and you will learn to be comfortable with you. And then once you do that, the next thing is honestly just embracing new opportunities. Embrace new opportunities, right? Embrace change, because change is gonna happen and change will come. That's just a part of life. We all change, we all evolve, right? So when change comes, just embrace it. Embrace what comes with it, because there is beauty in change. So I encourage you to just try those things, right? One, acknowledge your pain, right? Two, find the beauty in it, rediscover who you are, date yourself, go out, right? Three, have a support system, find people who can support you. And then four, just embrace the change. Embrace change. Change is a part of life, and there's beauty in change. I know it's scary. I know it's scary because it's the unknown, but in the unknown is where the beauties of life lie. So I encourage you to just try those things and try and apply them to your life, because they really helped me move forward and find my purpose partner. That does it on the corner today. Make sure you subscribe, share, and like this video, and have conversations with your loved ones, and comment down below and let's have a conversation and let's keep it going. That does it on the corner. I am your host, Kamal Huggins. I'll see you next time on the corner.